Good morning, and thank you for joining us for this virtual ribbon cutting. Today is the first day of spring. The late comedian Robin Williams said, "Spring is nature's way of saying, let's party." So I am very glad you joined us this morning. My name is Maggie Godbold, and I serve as the Sully District Park Authority board member. What interesting times we live in, where although it may not be safe to gather in person yet, we can gather virtually and hear from those who made such an important difference in taking this project from a difficult place on difficult run to a wonderful community asset. Who says individuals can't make a difference? Who says that officials are not responsive to community input? And who says that together we can't drive change and as a community influence the future? Primatologist Jane Goodall, who studied chimpanzees in the wild for 6 decades, noted, "Every individual matters. Every individual has a role to play. Every individual makes a difference." And she was right. This morning, we will dedicate what used to be known as Gabrielson Bridge and now also known as Burnet Bridge. This bridge has a long history. It was originally built in the 1940s, and today we are going to explore a bit of its history during this virtual ribbon cutting. Our program this morning will feature remarks from Sully District Supervisor Kathy Smith. We will share some footage and photographs from the arrival of the bridge and the completion of the project. We will hear from Acting Park Authority Executive Director Sarah Baldwin and from a variety of community representatives, including Karen Ampa, Beverly Dickson, and Rachel Rice, and there may be others as well. Since today's watch party is virtual, I invite you to join in the chat room and offer your impressions or thoughts. Kind words are always welcome. It is time to get this party started, so let's begin with remarks from Supervisor Kathy Smith, who, like myself, braved the bitter cold to come out to the bridge and share her thoughts with us. Please welcome Supervisor Smith.
Good morning. I hope each one of you has crossed over Burnet Bridge at least a dozen times by now. I am so very pleased to see this project at an end and the community able to cross difficult run easily and safely. I want to reiterate my appreciation to the many county agencies, the many community leaders and individuals, and the contractors who took care of all the details and simply got the job done. The Department of Public Works and Environmental Services, Land Development Services, and the Park Authority all played significant roles. The bridge was prefabricated by Wheeler Lumber LLC and installed by AccuBid Construction Services. Every accomplishment starts with the decision to do it, to make it a reality, and when we first heard the news that the bridge must come down, we knew that another must rise in its place. The project was clearly about safety and making sure that we did what was necessary to remove a structurally failing 1940s-era bridge. But it was so much more than that. It was about community pooling together. It was about looking into different funding pots to see what we could cobble together. And it was about determination. I am very pleased we were able to allocate the $413,000 needed for the replacement bridge using funds from the Sully District Walkways Fund and developer proffers. I want to send a thank you to the residents of the Hunter Valley area. This bridge would not be here without community members willing to go that extra mile. Thank you to the Hunter Valley Association and Flowerstone Drive property owner, Mr. Mark Pedry. Thank you to the equestrians and so many others who raised your voices and made it known that we needed this bridge. Today you will hear from some representatives of the community as well. Really, this project is all about community, which can be defined as a group of people with common purpose, bonded through inclusive and loving collaboration. Everyone did their part, and today we cut a ribbon on a bridge that will last at least 75 years. It will carry us and our children and our grandchildren across the divide, and we can tell them the part we played to make it happen. I think this is something we can all be proud of. Thank you, and be well.
Thank you, Supervisor Smith. I also want to thank the Park Authority, which worked very hard to make a bad situation much better. I want to thank my fellow Park Board members who understood the urgency of making this bridge replacement happen. I also want to thank members of that project team listed in no particular order, including Tom McFarland, who served as project manager, Wayne Brissy, Paul Shirey, Mohammed Kadazi, Mike Coyle, Stephanie Leadham, Kurt Lewis, Cindy Walsh, Gary Logue, Matt Tosher, Roy Waugh, Lisa Hubbard, and Al Shelton. There were others, some of whom have left the agency or retired. It's true, it takes a village. Thank you all for your dedication. Now to our next speaker. Representing the Park Authority today is Acting Director Sarah Baldwin.
Good morning and a virtual hello. My name is Sarah Baldwin. I'm serving as the Acting Director of the Park Authority in wake of former Director Kirk Kincannon's recent retirement. Kirk attended many ribbon cuttings and would have been here smiling in anticipation and speaking of a job well done. This project took a lot of patience and hard work, and it is nice to see the bridge open to the public on time and on budget. This project began when inspections found that the old bridge was no longer safe and needed to come down. That's a difficult decision, but one that needed to be made. And it's not a remarkable one either, as we recognize that infrastructure around the nation needs attention and renewal. What made it remarkable was the community's emotional ties and link to the crossing, the cooperation of several county agencies, and the willingness of Supervisor Smith to find the funding to make it happen. Automaker Henry Ford said, "Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success." I want to thank all those that joined in this effort to ensure this project happened, and to note the Park Authority staff's efforts to find the right bridge, the right contractor, to get the design perfect, to stay on schedule, to keep the community informed, working hand in hand with Supervisor Smith's team. I also want to thank Sully District Park Board member Maggie Godbold, who listened to residents about how vital it was to replace this trail link and how important a name change can be. Burnet Bridge reflects the impact one family had on this community. Although I never met Thornton or Mary Elizabeth Burnett, others felt strongly that their community commitment to being stewards of the environment and good neighbors were qualities that should be honored. The Park Authority Board gladly took action to name the bridge in their honor. The Park Authority has more than 300 miles of trails in our system. This trail provides corridors for wildlife, green spaces, and places to walk or ride among the trees and enjoy nature. But most importantly, they provide connections between communities and neighbors. Thomas Jefferson put it plainly when he wrote, "A good neighbor is a desirable thing." You are good neighbors, and we are glad to be a part of this success story. Thank you for your tenacity, and congratulations to all involved in this project.
Thank you, Sarah. Now we turn to the community. Please welcome a well-known park activist and accomplished equestrian to the podium. Our speaker has worked hard to make our trails accessible for multiple users and has kept the Park Authority's nose to the grindstone over the years. It is my pleasure to welcome Beverly Dickson with the Hunters Valley Association.
All right, Supervisor Smith, Park Board members, and Park staff, particularly Maggie Godbold and Tom McFarland, thank you for your efforts that made this bridge become a reality. My name is Beverly Dickson. I live just off Stewart Mill Road, about a half a mile from here, back that way, and my horses live by the one-lane bridge on Stewart Mill Road. I'm past president of the Hunters Valley Riding Club and on the board. I moved here in 1982 and feel so fortunate to be a part of this wonderful community. When I moved here, I knew no one, but I soon discovered the Hunters Valley community through the Hunters Valley Riding Club, and it became my surrogate family. My horse lives on the west side of Difficult Run, down that way, and Hunters Valley was on the east side, so I used the old bridge to cross back and forth to join friends for horseback rides on the trails, to take riding lessons, or to participate in Hunter Valley activities. Many times, particularly in the summer, I would be riding my horse back home and stop so many times to talk to friends that it would be almost dark before I got back to the barn. Of course, when I passed children, I would stop to ask, "Do you want to pet the horse?" And they were usually thrilled to do so. I was president of the Hunters Valley Riding Club when the remaining property of the Wickens family was sold back in the 1990s. When the old riding rings on the Wickens property were lost, the Burnetts generously arranged for Hunters Valley Riding Club to establish a riding ring on their property by Difficult Run. Again, the bridge provided access to this much-used facility. I actually have a photograph of Thornton at the dedication ceremony. He came up to the ceremony in a buggy. Not only horses used the bridge, but hikers and bikers used it to get to the cross-county trail and the extensive trail system in this area. It wasn't until the old bridge was gone that we realized how many people from other parts of the county had come to enjoy the natural setting in which we are fortunate enough to live. A bridge was more than just a convenience for access. It played a critical part in psychologically uniting friends on both sides of Difficult Run. For me, it strengthened my ties to Hunter Valley Association and made it easier for me to feel that I belonged. Participating in Hunter Valley Association's picnics, Halloween parties, Christmas caroling, horseback events, and holiday parties enabled me to know these neighbors and to feel a part of the community that lived, as I quote, on the other side of the creek. The old bridge was part of Thornton and Mary Elizabeth Burnett's driveway. I was fortunate to know both of them when they lived here, and I visited them later in their retirement home. I know they would be pleased to see the community reunited with this new bridge. Again, many thanks to all the people who made this possible, both Fairfax County personnel, Hunter Valley neighbors, and friends from all over the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beverly. Up next, Karen Ampeh, the Sully District member of the Fairfax County Trails, Sidewalks, and Bikeways Committee.
Thank you, Maggie. I'm delighted to see here today we have a bridge, again, to connect Sully District to its most eastern portion on the other side of Difficult Run. This bridge links Sully to Providence and Hunter Mill districts and beyond as it opens up trails to all of Fairfax County. By way of the cross-county trail, pedestrians, bikers, and equestrians can continue following Difficult Run all the way to Great Falls, where the waters flow into the Potomac River. Fairfax County Board of Supervisors takes this stewardship of our riparian wetlands to be a critically important responsibility. These stream valleys once again provide habitat to bald eagles, wily coyotes, who help the barred owls and the red foxes keep the rodent population in better balance. Planned and maintained trails bring us closer to these vital resources so we can better appreciate the responsibility we all have to be better stewards of them. This bridge has been my top priority as the Sully District representative to the Fairfax County Trails, Sidewalks, and Bikeways Committee. In response to persistent advocacy, our supervisors and Fairfax County Park Authority were able to fast-track this project to this day, where we now have a safe and beautiful bridge here to last for future generations as previous generations enjoyed. On behalf of my community and the Trails, Sidewalks, and Bikeways Advisory Committee, I wholeheartedly thank Supervisor Kathy Smith, Mike Coyle, and Fairfax County Park Authority's Tom McFarland for shepherding this project through the past few years to the completed bridge we have here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, for those remarks. It is now my pleasure to welcome Rachel Rice, President of the Hunters Valley Riding Club.
Hi, my name is Rachel Rice, and I'm the current president of the Hunters Valley Riding Club. I grew up in this neighborhood, riding in this ring, walking on the old bridge, hiking the trails with my family. I took weekly lessons, and if we were early, my brother and I would always stop at the bridge toss leaves and sticks over to see whose would float faster. I've taken countless trail rides with friends where we had to meet on one side or the other. This bridge represents a connection, not only between two roads or even two communities, but between humans and outdoors, nature, hiking trails, and facilities. The Hunters Valley Riding Club would like to thank Kathy Smith and her office, especially her Chief of Staff, Michael Coyle. We want to thank the staff at the county, including Tom McFarland and his whole team, who've kept us in the loop on the process, permitting, bids, construction, and even the demolition of the old bridge. Thank you to everyone who helped advocate for the replacement of this bridge. We look forward to seeing everyone out on the trails when the weather gets better. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, for those remarks. I want to thank everyone who turned out this morning for this great celebration. I would ask you to count down with me as we virtually cut the ribbon starting from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yay!
As we noted, the Park Authority Board voted to name the new bridge the Burnet Bridge to honor the memory of Thornton and Mary Elizabeth Burnett, who provided decades of unwavering support and commitment to the Hunters Valley community. We were able to track down a member of the family. Let's listen to the conversation.
Good morning. Good morning, all. My name is Thornton Burnett Jr., and I grew up at 1-800 Hunters Valley Road in Fairfax County, and I'm very pleased to hear that the property that I grew up on is getting a new bridge, connecting it to Hunter Valley Road and to the landlocked property that my parents used to call Walnut Hill Farm, and it was also known as Old Leeds Farm from the 1850s. So it was a great place to grow up. My family owned the property from about 1950 to I think 1996 or 95. It took them a while to sell, and in the process of doing that, my father decided to deed 2 acres, and I believe it was for a 99-year lease on behalf of the Hunters Valley Riding Association and the community in general to use as a little equestrian facility, riding rink, and of course that tied to the many surrounding horse trails that had been there since literally some of them since the 1940s. And it was a very strong community, generally interested in horses. And my parents felt it was very important for the children and families in the neighborhood to have that. Now, the vital link to all communities and all homes when you've got a creek or a river between you and your access to a public road, of course, is a bridge. And there was a bridge in that area probably since the 1930s or before. It was in timber and stone, and then I think my parents put in the first steel, and it was always massive oak planks with a huge, like 10 by 10 oak trunk guardrails, which always had to be replaced. But it was a vital link from the end of Hunter Valley and Leeds Road where they meet. That was the end of our driveway. And it was also partial access to the Ira Gabrielson property, which is now a park. That's across the Difficult Run. So this bridge spanned Difficult Run. And obviously being timber, it eventually had to be replaced. And as I understand it, thanks to neighbors who really appreciated the value of the equestrian facility. But again, the bridge was absolutely vital to life. And I'm glad to know it's still vital and viable and now replaced. So congrats to the community, and thank you so much to the county and the Park Authority for seeing this through, and thank you again.
Thank you for those remarks. Thank you all for joining us today. Sir Isaac Newton, an astronomer and a key figure in mankind's scientific revolution, said, We build too many walls and not enough bridges. Well, not today. Burnet Bridge is open for business. Please enjoy the trails and the bridge. Be kind to one another and be safe. Thank you and bye-bye.